Good afternoon, Farmington community, Farmington and Farmington Hills community. I am Dr. Bobbie Hayes Goodrum, your interim superintendent, back with a superintendent spotlight. This is March. It's my favorite month for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is it's Women's History Month. Another one of the reasons, less important, is it's my birthday month, but also it is reading month. And so today we have with us our district librarian, Mr. Jim White. Jim, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you, Dr. Goodrum. I've been in Farmington for over, I think, 27 years now. I've been an English teacher at Power, at Farmington High, and at North, and I've been a media specialist at East and Dunkel, and I'm now the district librarian. And I better say that I'm also married to Denise Gundel-White, who's a third grade teacher currently at Hillside, but she's been also a school librarian, and again, now a third grade teacher at Hillside.
Awesome. My husband also works for the district, but I've never shouted it out, and I never will. So moving on, what does Reading Month look like in the Farmington Public Schools?
Well, it's always an exciting time, especially in the elementary school. So I'll talk about them, but so just want to let people know that in the high school, the students are pretty serious about getting their work done, and reading happens when we can make it happen, help make it happen. In the middle schools, there's a few more activities going on. Like right now, there's some March Madness brackets in some of the schools where students are choosing which book should move on in the tournament. And then also the Farmington Public Library coordinates Battle of the Books each spring, and that's going on right now. But elementary schools are where we've really focused our efforts, and for a number of years, this goes back perhaps as my whole career, there was something called Book Parade in the elementary schools, and that was a program where it was involved fourth and fifth graders, and those students would read a book of their choice off of a list, and then they would get to sit down with an adult and have a conversation about that book, and they would do this for a number of books. It was a great program. But it was very intensive in terms of needing a lot of parent volunteers. And then again, it only reached fourth and fifth grade. So about 10 years ago, the elementary librarians at that time decided they really needed to expand a celebration of reading to all grades in the elementaries. And they grabbed onto something that's happened around the country called One School, One Book. And in Farmington, it's actually almost one district, one book. And I should just say that the STEAM Academy, because they're kind of a unique situation, they're not a K-5 school. They've decided, and their PTA is very involved in creating their own March's Reading Month celebration. But so One School, One Book actually extends through the 8 K-5 elementary schools that we have in Farmington.
That is awesome. All great activities. And I've been a Battle of the Books coach, so I know how intensive that can be. But okay, and so you kind of answered my next question about what is one school, one book.
Well, I'll just add some detail. I'll just say that we choose a book, and so a copy of that book goes home to each of our families in the K-5 schools. And actually, to be honest, we chose this book last year before the pandemic, but we didn't get a chance to send it home, so we're using last year's book. But we sent home more than 3,000 books to families this year.
That's great, and they can keep them, right?
That's right. They keep the books. And I should say that the reason that happens is this is not Farmington Schools money that pays for the books. All of the money used to support One School, One Book comes from donations from the Farmington Education Foundation, the Friends of the Farmington Community Library, a service group that has a lot of Farmington teachers in it called West Oak Civitan. And then each participating school's PTA also contributes money.
That is awesome. So here is the big question. Did we choose the right book this year?
Well, this is a good question. And people should know that it's okay when you're talking about kindergartners and fifth graders reading the same book, that range of ages and reading levels, you have to think about that. One School, One Book, the idea behind it was that you send a book home and that families read together. And so it's okay to pick a book that kindergartners wouldn't be able to read themselves, because ideally families are gathering around the book and reading it. In our community, we have a very, I think, exciting challenge of having families where English is not the language spoken at home. So to be honest, sometimes in our households, it's our students who are reading the book to their parents, and that can be a really empowering thing. But all these considerations have to go into picking the right book. And for a number of years, when elementary librarians were picking books, they chose books that had animal characters in it, and those stories are good and they reach everybody. But I heard when I came into my role about 2 years ago, I heard from fourth and fifth graders that, wow, we'd like something a little bit more challenging than yet another animal book. And so I've tried to pick books that reach all of our families in ways where kids can see themselves in the books, can see characters or stories that they feel are real to them, and that they're excited about reading the stories. And I just want to say one other thing, because this is a huge part of this. Since the book goes out to the community, you hear stories all the time, like kids who don't go to the same elementary school, but maybe they gather at the YMCA or in non-COVID times, or in some other place where they see a child from another school that they never would know, but who's reading the same book. Or our bus drivers are very involved in reading the book, and they like to talk to kids on the bus each day about what's going on in the book. So it's a really great community event that is intended to bring people together.
Yes, and I read the book, and I think I was telling you I enjoyed it so much that I had to read the second book because I had to know what happened, and I'm not going to give anything away because I'm good for that. I'm a spoiler. I'm going to try not to give any spoilers, but I did enjoy the book, and I enjoyed the amount of diversity that I felt was reflected in the book. So I think you did a great job. And so, but as you move forward in the future, you're going to look at ways to, because now you're here by yourself. You're the only librarian. Are there some ways that you can make the book selection process more inclusive of our community?
Well, I think that is a hugely important thing to do. And I did a lot of research, and for the books I've only chosen. But people should know that in my career in this role, I've only chosen 2 books. And last year we missed one school book. But each year I've had to do a large amount of research to pick the right book. But one thing I have left out, have not thought about, is getting feedback from our community. And this is really important. When we're sending the books into our families' homes, they should have a say about what's important to them. And it would just be a better conversation, and I think a better process for selection.
Awesome. Now that we've gotten all the fun stuff out of the way, this is still a question that I ask most people when we talk about the fact that we are in a pandemic, and how has the pandemic really affected our libraries and our media centers?
So it's been a challenge, but I think we've done really great things. Last year, of course, as people remember, when we were all asked to stay at home, there was nothing that we could do. People might realize that as Farmington employees, we weren't even allowed to go into the schools, let alone coordinate with people who wanted to get books. But this year we have media aides who work in each media center, and they love their job of getting the right book into kids' hands. And what they've worked hard to do this year is to create at each school some form of curbside service. And so if families have not been able to take advantage of this or weren't even aware of it, they should know that if you contact your media aide at your building, and your kids will know who they are, that those aides would love to be able to deliver books, either both to kids who are learning remotely and to kids who are coming in to learn in person.
So, okay. So we have kept the ball rolling, through, like every other department, we've kept the ball rolling through this very different time. Is there anything else you want our friends out in cyberspace to know about our libraries and schools, or even our community libraries?
just that we work together. The community library, the public library, Farmington Community Library is the official term, and then the schools work very closely together. And while we do not have school librarians right now, again, we have media aides who are very committed to kids and to reading and to books. And then the public librarians are very eager to help also. And in fact, they support, as I said, they themselves coordinate battle. They're very supportive in the One School One book. And in fact, many community librarians have recorded themselves reading chapters of the book, and we're posting those on our One School One Book Canvas page that families may be seeing, or at least the teachers are showing them to the students. It's up to the teachers whether they want to actually open up that canvas to the families themselves, because there's some things in there that are still a little bit secret as we go on. I should say, Dr. Goodrum, that you read ahead, and and I know the why you did that. But if families are sticking to the reading schedule, they're really only at about chapter 3 or 4 right now, and so this book lasts for the whole month. And there are some things coming, some surprises coming that are still being kept secret. So, but
I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, you should not apologize. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Oh, like I had to be prepared for this interview.
That's
I
right.
know if you were going to ask me any questions about the book. Oh my goodness! I told you I was a Battle of the Books coach at one point. You know how stressful that is.
Fully understand.
All right, last question, and this is a pop quiz question. I'm just curious. March is reading month. Who is your favorite author?
Oh my gosh! Right now, I'm reading a Toni Morrison book, but I would have to say I've been diving deeply into Mark Twain these days. So.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, that concludes our interview today. Thank you so much, Mr. White, for being here with us and sharing with us the joy of one book, one school, one book. Which order is it?
Well, officially One School, One Book, but you can say it either way. So
One School, One Book, and telling us all about your role in the district as our district librarian. I hope that you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Dr. Goodman. Yes, very much appreciate the time, and it's just great to talk with you.
Thank you again.